What if everything you thought the Four Horsemen represented is only half the story? A white horse of conquest, a red horse of war, a black horse of famine, and a pale horse named Death itself. For centuries, they've been interpreted as end-of-the-world warnings. But here's the question that changes everything. What if the horsemen are not the cause of history's chaos, but the effect of something deeper? And even more disturbing, what if they are not unleashed by evil, but by the Lamb? Before you dismiss this as another apocalypse theory, consider this. Revelation doesn't begin with monsters. It begins with a throne, and whoever sits there decides what happens next. Today, we're not just decoding symbols, we're uncovering the hidden structure of history itself. And by the end, you'll see why the real question Revelation 6 forces is not when the world ends, but who has been in control the entire time. If this kind of deep biblical breakdown interests you, subscribe now, because what most people miss in Revelation changes everything you thought you knew about prophecy. Before a single horse moves, before judgment begins, before chaos enters the scene, John is shown something far more important than the future of Earth. He is shown the control center of reality, a throne. Not empty, not threatened, not uncertain. Occupied. Lightning flashes, thunder rolls, voices surround the throne like living fire. Elders sit in order. Strange living creatures declare endlessly, "Holy, holy, holy." This is not symbolic decoration. This is authority made visible. Because Revelation wants to establish something first. Nothing in history happens outside governance. Then the focus shifts. A scroll appears, sealed completely. It represents the unfolding of God's plan for justice, judgment, and restoration. But there is a crisis. No one is found worthy to open it. Not angels, not prophets, not kings. And John weeps. Because if the scroll stays closed, history remains unresolved. Then everything changes. A voice breaks the silence. The Lion of Judah has conquered. But what John sees is not a lion. It is a lamb, standing as though slain. This is the central paradox of Revelation. Power wears the appearance of sacrifice. Authority is expressed through suffering. And the Lamb takes the scroll. Only He is worthy to unfold history. If you're following this breakdown so far, drop a like. It helps push deeper biblical content like this to more people searching for real understanding. And only after this moment, the seals begin to break. To understand the Four Horsemen, you cannot read Revelation in isolation. John is not inventing symbols. He is activating memory. His audience already knew the language. They were fluent in Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and Zechariah. In Zechariah, colored horses are sent out by God, not as agents of chaos, but divine messengers patrolling the earth. In Ezekiel, judgment comes in familiar patterns: sword, famine, pestilence, wild beasts. Not random, not new, recognizable cycles. So when John describes the Four Horsemen, he is not predicting new categories of destruction. He is revealing the repeating architecture of a broken world. These forces are not anomalies. They are patterns, and they operate under limits set by the throne. Even chaos is contained. Even destruction is governed. Now the seals open, and what emerges is not a timeline, but a cycle. A white horse appears. Its rider carries a bow. A crown is given to him. He goes out conquering. This is not pure evil. It is something more subtle. It is ambition dressed as legitimacy. Systems, empires, and ideologies convinced of their own righteousness. The key detail is this: the crown is given. meaning authority is not original, it is permitted. This is conquest that believes it is saving the world, while quietly setting the stage for collapse. Then comes the red horse. No disguise, no symbolism left to interpret. Blood becomes the language. Peace is taken from the earth, not accidentally removed, deliberately withdrawn. When competing systems of conquest collide, violence becomes inevitable. What begins as expansion becomes resistance, and what begins as ideology becomes war. Even here, the text insists, it is given, meaning even destruction is not uncontrolled, it is permitted within boundaries. Then comes the black horse. It carries scales, not weapons. Economy becomes the battlefield. A day's wage buys barely enough food to survive, but something strange remains untouched: luxury goods, oil and wine. This is not total collapse, it is selective pressure. A world where systems still function, but not equally. Where survival is expensive for the many, but comfort remains stable for the few. Scarcity does not fall evenly, and that imbalance becomes the signature of broken systems. Finally, the pale horse, the color of decay. Its rider is named Death, and the grave follows. Everything converges here. Conquest leads to war. War leads to scarcity. Scarcity leads to collapse, and collapse leads to death. Even here, authority is given, meaning even death is not ultimate. It is bounded, not sovereign, not free. Together, the four horsemen reveal a structure. Ambition leads to conflict, leads to inequality, leads to mortality. Not one event, a repeating cycle. Across empires, across centuries, across civilizations. Rewritten in different languages, but always the same pattern underneath. This is Revelation's diagnosis. A world disconnected from its creator eventually repeats its own destruction in loops. But this is not the center of the vision. It is the backdrop. Because the real focus is still the throne. The most important question in Revelation 6 is not what are the horsemen doing, but who is opening the seals. Because every force unleashed is still responding to authority. Nothing operates independently. From the ground, history looks chaotic, but from the throne, it is structured, contained, directed. Which leads to the unavoidable question: who is truly in control of history? Empires, systems, violence, death, or something above them all? Revelation answers without hesitation. The Lamb, the one who was slain, is the one holding the scroll. The four horsemen are not the center of Revelation. They are the shadow of a deeper reality. They describe what happens when a broken world follows its own momentum. But they are not the final word. Because the story doesn't begin with chaos, it begins with a throne. And it doesn't end with death, it ends with the Lamb still in control. If this breakdown helped you see Revelation differently, subscribe for more deep biblical explorations that go beyond surface-level interpretations. Because the real power of Revelation is not predicting fear, it is revealing order behind it, and reminding us of one unshakable truth. The throne is still occupied, and the Lamb still holds the scroll. Jesus is King, and He loves you.